Number 12. The unsettling hum. You've probably been there. It's late. The house is silent, and you're just about to drift off when you hear it. A low, persistent hum. It's not your fridge, it's not the AC, and it's definitely not your neighbor's bass cranked to 11. It's just there. You twist and turn, shove a pillow over your head, and maybe even get up to check if something's buzzing. But the noise persists. A phantom sound you can't quite pinpoint. You think you're losing it, right? Maybe you're hearing things. Well, don't worry, you're not, or at least not because of the hum. This isn't a ghost, a glitch in the matrix, or some weird form of brain static. It's something far more mundane and far more infuriating. A low-frequency hum from an outside source that your brain, in its infinite wisdom, has decided to amplify into a personal symphony of annoyance. We're talking about things like distant traffic, power grid transformer a block away, or even the subtle rumble of a factory across town. These sounds are typically so low in frequency and volume that they re-drowned out by the noise of daily life. But when everything else gets quiet, your brain gets to work. It's like it's saying, hey, no new information coming in. So let's go ahead and turn up the gain on this incredibly boring background noise. It's the only thing happening, so let's make it the star of the show. Your auditory cortex essentially goes on high alert, desperate for stimulation, and latches onto the faintest signal it can find. So that hum you're hearing is real, but it's not a secret you've unlocked. It's just your nervous system being incredibly bored and deciding to be a drama queen about it. Number 11. The falling sensation. Imagine you're perfectly comfortable, tucked into bed, and you're just on the edge of sleep. You've almost made it. And suddenly, with no warning, your entire body gives a violent full-body twitch. You get that stomach-flipping sensation of falling from a great height. Your eyes snap open, your heart is pounding, and you feel like you just survived a near-fatal plunge off a cliff. That exists only in your head. Welcome to the wonderful world of hypnic jerks. These aren't some weird stress response or a sign that you're about to have a seizure. They're actually a hilarious evolutionary prank your brain plays on you. As you're falling asleep, your brain starts shutting down your body's motor control. It's a natural, necessary step toward full-blown sleep paralysis. But sometimes your brain gets a little confused. It misinterprets the complete and total relaxation of your muscles as you, in fact, falling off a literal cliff. So it panics and sends a frantic wake-up signal to your limbs. Basically, it's like your brain is a nervous helicopter parent who sees you about to close your eyes for a nap and screams, "Oh my God, they're falling, catch them," sending a jolt through your entire body to keep you from face-planting onto your mattress. The sensation is weird and jarring, but it's just your brain being a bit overzealous in its job of making sure you fall down. Number 10. The brain freeze blitz. You know that feeling? You're enjoying a ridiculously cold treat on a hot day, maybe a slushie, an ice cream cone, or a milkshake. And everything is great. Then out of nowhere it hits. Sudden, sharp, ice-cold stabbing pain right in the middle of your forehead that feels like someone just shoved a tiny, frozen screwdriver through your skull. You flinch, you stop eating, and you might even grab your head as if that'll somehow convince the pain to stop. This isn't just a quirky side effect of cold food. It's a full-on neurological tantrum, and it has a name. Sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia. Say that 10 times fast. Or, just call it a brain freeze. When you consume something super cold, it rapidly chills the blood vessels in the roof of your mouth and the back of your throat. This sudden constriction and subsequent dilation is a massive red flag for your body, which interprets it as a sign of something being horribly wrong. So, to alert you to this emergency, sends a massive pain signal through the trigeminal nerve, a major nerve that also happens to be responsible for sending signals to your face and head. Your brain gets the signal and goes, pain. Pain. It must be coming from the head. Arg, and proceeds to unleash the headache from hell. It's basically your nervous system's way of punishing you for enjoying a cold treat, because it gets confused and thinks your head is the one being attacked. Number 9. Déjà vu's glitch. Have you ever walked into a room or started a conversation and been hit with an overwhelming sense that you've done this exact thing before? The lighting, the smell, the specific wording of a sentence, it all feels eerily familiar. A memory you can't quite place. It's like a scene from a movie that you know you've already seen, but you can't remember the plot. This bizarre little phenomenon, called déjà vu, isn't a psychic flash or a glimpse into a past life. It's a hilarious and slightly terrifying glitch in the matrix that is your own brain. The most widely accepted theory is that déjà vu is a memory misfiring. Your brain takes in a ton of information every second, and it has to process it, categorize it, and file it away. Sometimes, a tiny hiccup occurs. The information from a new experience gets routed directly to the part of your brain that stores long-term memories, the temporal lobe, before it's properly processed by the short-term memory centers. The result is that when your conscious brain finally catches up, it gets a weird out-of-order signal. It receives the long-term memory stamp on something that's happening right now. So your brain goes, hey, this feels like an old memory, even though it's a brand new experience. It's like a librarian accidentally putting a new book on the classics shelf before it has even been read. Basically, your brain is just being a messy file clerk. Number 8. Synesthesia's rainbow mind. Imagine hearing the rich, deep tones of a cello, and not just hearing them, but seeing them as a deep royal blue. Or tasting a sweet strawberry and having the flavor register as a smooth, rounded shape in your mind. This isn't a poetic metaphor. For some people, it's their everyday reality. It's a neurological condition known as synesthesia, where one sensory pathway is involuntarily and consistently triggered by another. It's like a short circuit in the brain that connects senses that are typically linked. For a long time, it was thought to be a total anomaly, a bit of weird brain wiring. But it's actually much more common than you'd think, affecting about 1 in 23 people. The leading theory is that synesthesia is caused by a kind of neurological crosstalk. All of our senses are processed in different regions of the brain. But for people with synesthesia, there's more cross-activation between these sensory areas. For example, the area of the brain responsible for processing sound might have a few extra connections to the area that processes color. So when a sound comes in, it doesn't just activate the auditory cortex, it also spills over into the visual cortex. It's like having your phone as Bluetooth accidentally. Number 7. The autokinesis illusion. Picture this. You're in a completely dark room, staring at a tiny, unmoving point of light. You're told to keep your gaze fixed on it. After a few minutes, something weird happens. That little speck of light starts to move. It drifts, it sways, it bobs and weaves, and it seems to have a mind of its own. You'd swear it was moving, but it's not. This isn't a special effect or a ghost light. It's a common psychological quirk called the autokinetic effect. This phenomenon is a perfect example of your brain trying to make sense of a confusing situation and completely failing. In a dark room with no visual frame of reference, no walls, no corners, no furniture to give context, your brain has no anchor points to help it determine if the light is moving or if your eyes are. And because your eyes are constantly making tiny involuntary movements called saccades, your brain gets confused. It attributes the subtle muscle signals from your eye movements to the object you're staring at. And since it has no other visual input to correct itself, it concludes that the light must be the thing that's moving. It's a bit like driving a car and getting a tiny shake in. Number 6. Why we yawn when we're bored. You're sitting in a meeting, a lecture, or maybe just watching a particularly dry TV show. The speaker is droning on, and you can feel your eyelids getting heavy. Suddenly, an uncontrollable urge washes over you, and you let out a big, gaping yawn. You might think you're yawning because you're tired. While that's part of the story, it's not the whole picture. Yawning, as it turns out, is a bit more complicated and a lot more clever than simple drowsiness. The current leading theory is that yawning is a built-in air conditioning system for your brain. Think about it. Your brain is a high-powered, energy-hungry supercomputer that generates a lot of heat. When you're bored or tired, your brain temperature starts to creep up. To prevent overheating, your body initiates a yawn, which forces you to take a deep, slow inhale. This draws in a massive amount of cool air, which cools the blood in your lungs and then rushes up to your brain. At the same time, the stretching of your jaw muscles increases blood flow to the head and neck, also helping to cool things down. It's like your brain is a laptop, and yawning is the sound of its internal fan kicking in to prevent a total system crash. And the fact that yawning is contagious? It's just a fascinating social reflex. It's the Number 5. The sinking feeling on elevators. You step into an elevator, hit the button for your floor, and as the doors close, you feel it. A brief, stomach-churning sensation of falling as the elevator begins its descent. Or maybe it's a feeling of being pressed into the floor as it starts to ascend. It's a quick, unsettling moment that a lot of people experience, and it has nothing to do with faulty cables or a secret elevator crash simulation. The reason you feel this is thanks to a tiny, brilliant organ in your inner ear called the vestibular system. This little guy is your body's built-in gyroscope. It's a series of fluid-filled canals that are lined with tiny hair cells. When you move, the fluid sloshes around, and the hair cells send signals to your brain that tell it what direction you're moving in. When the elevator starts to go up, your body accelerates, and the fluid in your inner ear gets pushed down, causing a momentary sensation of being heavier than you actually are. When the elevator starts to descend, your body accelerates downward, and the fluid in your inner ear is for a fleeting moment less affected by gravity, which your brain misinterprets as a feeling of weightlessness or sinking. It's basically a conflict between what your eyes see. Number 4. Pareidolia's face-hunting brain. Look at that electrical outlet on the wall. Does it look a little bit like a surprised face with 2 big eyes and an open mouth? How about the shadows on that cloud? Do they form the shape of a dog? This common human experience of seeing faces and recognizable patterns in random, unrelated objects is called pareidolia. And no, you're not just an imaginative person with a flair for finding hidden meanings. Your brain is hardwired for this specific task. The human brain is a pattern recognition machine. One of the most important patterns it's evolved to recognize is a face. From a survival standpoint, identifying faces quickly is a huge advantage, helps us distinguish friend from foe, read emotions, and navigate social situations. The part of the brain responsible for this, the fusiform gyrus, is so good at its job that it sometimes goes into overdrive. When it doesn't get enough clear, distinct patterns to work with, like with a cloud formation or a piece of burnt toast, it starts to find them in the noise. It's like a computer program that has been optimized to find a specific type of image. And when it can't find one, it starts flagging anything that even remotely resembles it. The result is that we see faces everywhere. On the moon, in the wood grain of a table, or in the front of a car. Number 3. The uninvited soundtrack. Imagine you're just going about your day, minding your own business, and then it happens. A snippet of a song, maybe a terrible pop tune from the early 2000s, or a jingle from a commercial you have unseen in years suddenly starts playing on an endless loop in your brain. You hum it under your breath, try to think of something else, but it's no use. The tune has taken up permanent residence in your skull, a tiny, annoying earworm that won't be evicted. This is the phenomenon of involuntary musical imagery, and it's basically your brain getting stuck in an infinite musical loop. The current theory is that your brain, being the pattern-loving machine that it is, latches onto a simple, repetitive melody. It's like your brain is a broken record player that gets stuck on the same 3 seconds of a song. Often, these earworms are triggered by something you hear, see, or even smell. Maybe a coworker said a word that was also in the song's lyrics, or you saw a color that reminds you of the song's album art. It's not just a memory recall. It's your brain's auditory cortex getting stuck in a feedback loop. Your mind is trying to complete the song, but since it can't, it just keeps replaying the snippet it has. The more you try to fight it, the more your brain focuses on it, making the loop even more powerful. It's an auditory. Number 2. The phantom vibrates. You're walking down the street, sitting in a waiting room, or just chilling on your couch. Suddenly you feel it, a brief, telltale buzz in your pocket or on your leg. You reach for your phone, pull it out, and the screen is black. No notification, no call, nothing. But the feeling was so real, wasn't it? This is the phantom vibration syndrome, and it's a completely normal, if slightly unsettling, neurological quirk. It's a form of tactile hallucination that our modern, constantly connected lives have given us. Our brains, as it turns out, are so used to being interrupted by the buzz of a smartphone that they have become hypervigilant. The part of your brain that processes tactile information gets rewired to anticipate that specific stimulus. So when you're not actively engaged, or your brain is looking for a distraction, misinterprets random sensory signals like the rustle of your clothes, a muscle twitch, or even a sudden change in temperature as the vibration of your phone. It's like your brain has become a Pavlovian dog. But instead of salivating at a bell, it feels a vibration every time its leg hair moves the wrong way. The more you use your phone, the more your brain gets trained to expect that buzz. And the more likely it is to manufacture the sensation out of thin air. You're not losing your mind. You're just a... Number 1. The call of the void. You're standing on a high cliff, looking out at a breathtaking view, or maybe you're on the edge of a subway platform waiting for the train. For a split second, a bizarre, terrifying thought pops into your head, completely unbidden. What if I just jumped? This isn't a suicidal impulse or a sign of mental instability. It's an incredibly common and completely benign phenomenon called l'appel du vide, which is French for the call of the void. It's a fascinating, and a little terrifying, example of your brain's hilarious miscommunication with itself. The leading theory is that l'appel du vide is actually a safety signal that gets misinterpreted. Your brain processes the dangerous situation standing near a perilous drop and sends a frantic warning signal. Be careful. Stay back. But because this signal is so urgent and so intense, your brain misinterprets it. Instead of understanding it as a warning, it processes the signal as, why did my body just freak out? Must be because I want to do this. The panic you feel after that split-second thought is your brain correcting itself, essentially screaming back, wait, no, we do not want to do that. What is wrong with us? It's a cognitive dissonance, the conflict between the warning signal and its misinterpretation that gives you that chilling, fleeting urge.